Hello, everyone. Welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Ketan Patel, who is the founder of Creative Newtech Limited. Hi, Mr. Ketan. Welcome to ELI.
Thank you, Priya, for having me on the show. Thank you so much.
I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a bit about Creative Newtech. What kind of company it is? What are the products and services we provide? And who are our customers?
So I am Ketan Patel, founder of Creative Newtech Limited. I, along with my wife Purvi Patel, we founded this company close to 3 decades ago now. And the company has two distinct pillars. One is we are licensee for a brand called Honeywell. Under this license agreement, we can use that brand for 4 categories of product. One is the air purifiers, one is personal and home audio. Third is enhancement products for your laptops, your desktops, and your TV. And fourth is networking product. So that is one pillar of our business. This license agreement is for 38 countries. So whole of Southeast Asia, South Asia, Middle East, and Africa. There we can use the Honeywell license and sell the products under this name. Second pillar of our business is we are brand entry specialists. And we have coined a word called FMSG, that is fast moving social media gadgets. And we tend to get the right kinds of gadgets for today's youth in India. And that's the second business, market entry for renowned brands.
Got it. Give us a perspective on what is the scale of operation right now, as in
Yeah.
yeah.
We are a listed company, so most of our numbers are there in the public domain. But last year, as of financial 22-23, we closed at a turnover of 1,367 crores and with a PAT margin of 27 crores.
Got it.
Currently, we have close to 27 offices across India. We have close to 300 manpower. We also have 2 overseas offices. One is in Hong Kong and one is in Middle East.
Got it. I'm sure we have a massive operation right now, but I'm also sure that it all started with a humble beginning. So take us to those days when it all started. What was the hypothesis? How it all started, and what made you to think about entrepreneurship? What made you to start this venture?
Okay, so at our time, we had very few choices, right? I belong to a family of doctors. We have almost 13-14 doctors in our family. My dad was a doctor. My all uncles are doctor. My brother is a doctor. My grandfather was a doctor. I was the black sheep kind of in the family, got a little lesser percentage, got into engineering. And that point of time, you had only 3 streams. Either you become a doctor, an engineer, or a chartered accountant, right? And I did my engineering. At that point of time, it was vogue to get into telecommunication, computers. I got into computers. When I passed out Make in India, it was not coined Make in India. But that point of time also, there was differential duty on finished products and complete knockdown or semi-knockdown condition products. So worked for a factory for a couple of years to manufacture. At that point of time, you didn't have graphics card, you had dual display cards, XT80 motherboards, memory cards, all that we manufactured for a company. Worked again then for a company which was into maintenance of computers. Then being into a Gujarati family, most of the people start business, and we get married also at around 22-23 years of age. And the first question is, ladka kuch kamata hai ke nahi? So I lost my father earlier, and then my mother spoke to a relative of ours and was kind enough to give us a place at Lamington Road, and that's where the whole journey started. We started as a service center and then slowly graduated to become a brand licensee.
Okay, so which year did we start?
We started in 1992.
Wow. So
So I
that is
was dating with Purvi, and she and me founded that business, named it Creative because she was from the software side. I was from the hardware side. He said we should have a name which can be used both in hardware and software. Lucky for us, the hardware part clicked, and she became a processes person, and I became a sales person, and that's how the whole journey started.
mm. So 1992, I think this is the year when the capitalism was just starting in India. The market was
Completely
open.
correct. Yes, yes. 94 actually, after the foreign trade and Narasimha Rao government coming, they really started opening the market. And that's when we were lucky enough that India was opening and we were just starting our business. That's the case.
Okay. So what kind of services were we providing, and how did we get in the initial few clients?
So, yeah. So initially, the person who had given us the place on rent wanted us to check his equipments for computers because there was no warranty available because no brand was here in India. So material used to come by imports or material would come by gray. And you step out of a shop and there was no warranty available, right? And so people wanted always a good service center where they could repair the product. So initially we started as a service center. Then a lot of traders started making us partners because they wanted us that somebody technical should be there, so their products testing, post sales, warranty, all can be taken care of. So we then slowly became a trader. Over a period of time, we understood that money is a scarce resource and trading is not for us. So we said that we will do exclusive products, and there were certain brands which had say TVS at that point of time had a 40% market share, but they didn't have the same market share across India. In western part of India, they had a very lesser percentage of market share. So then we took up TVSC, we started pushing the products into the market. Over a period of time, we became known that they can push brands into the market. Then Microsoft was looking for an aggregator at that point of time. Microsoft was a software company. They required great hardware to run this software. From the company itself, the focus was zero because 97% of their revenue was software and hardware was not in there. So they wanted somebody who could push hardware, and that's how we got the first Microsoft aggregatorship for India to start with. And then retail started opening because, as you had already said, right, that the winds of change were there, the markets were opening up. And then somewhere around 2006-7, Chroma was opening up, Reliance was opening up, Big Bazaar was starting with eZone. And we thought that the deliverables in a B2B scenario and a deliverables to a retail are very different. And we have a niche that we could do that. And that's how we started supplying to them. And slowly brands started coming to us. Then the last 10-15 years, if you see, millennials have started really growing. And 75% of Indian population is millennials, which is less than 35 years of age. And this population is where they don't have the basic needs of roti, kapda, makan, or clothing and food, shelter. They don't have a basic need of security. That's all taken care of. They are slightly on the Maslow's top end of the pyramid, where self-actualization, hobbies, purposes, that's what drives them. So a millennial usually has 3 to 4 hobbies which he follows, and a couple of them he practices. It could be running marathons, or it could be cycling, or it could be photography, or it could be gaming. And as the internet penetration started growing up, there was a need of more and more connected devices to be available. And that's why we said that, and you had fast moving consumer goods, you had fast moving electrical goods. We said, let's have fast moving social media goods. Let's get products where you can build a community, you can give a great customer experience, and the millennials would start that. So our first came with Beats by Dr. Dre, the headphone company. They were looking for a distributor. When I met them, they said our each headphone is close to That point of time, it was close to $300.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed that who will buy a $300 home. And daughter is we were having dinner together, and she said, "How was your day?" And I said, "I met this company wants to sell a $300 headphone." And my daughter said, "Which is the company?" I said, "Beats." And she really jumped up. She said, "Did you really meet the Beats people? Did you?" And that's when I started knowing that there's so many brands with the young millennials wanted are not available in India. And that's where we found our niche also. And then we started getting that brands. And then slowly GoPro happened. And then the recent Razer happened. Cricut happened. Cricut is again a cutting printer from US. It's a $1.6 billion market there. And they wanted somebody for India. And that's how we started getting products and kind of got our name into market entry specialist for the India subcontinent.
So these global brands, when they want to enter India, they reach out to you and your company to distribute their products.
Correct. So, Priya, if you see, last a decade and a half, 15 years, there's no innovation come from the traditional houses, right? So you have no innovation product coming from the house of Microsoft or coming from Oracle. For example, e-commerce company like Amazon, they came out with the Eco, right? And Google came out with products. Similarly, we launched GoPro in India. So GoPro was a 14-year-old company. It's not coming from an HP or a Nikon or a domain, right? And these companies, for them, they really understand that the millennials, the Gen Z, customer experience is only that matters. And to get that customer experience, you require 4 or 5 P's to be executed correctly. One is a brand strategy, which is for the generation in India, because every population worldwide is unique. The genre might be same, the choices might be same, but the preferences are different, right? So these brands, they understand very well. So they get an India-specific marketing strategy. Then you require influencers, then you require bloggers, then you require content creators who would create that content, which is authentic, made for India type of content. Then you require omni-channel presence, right? You should be able to sell your product online, offline, modern trade, gadget stores everywhere. Then you also require scale and skills, right? India is such a large country. So for example, if you were to deploy your product, say in a chroma, then show that product. Then we'll train there, we'll look at the merchandising there, we'll change the show reels when a new product comes in. So all these pieces kind of, we have it with us, and that's we offer to the brands, and brands get attracted towards it. Our latest offering now is D2C. So while we distribute also, we would run the brands direct to consumer online stores. That's also we run for them.
Got it. I also understand that recently we are also trying to expand globally. So there are some initiatives around that. So can you tell us what's
Correct. So, as you know, right, for everything you search Google, but for a product, Amazon is the default engine, right? And so, for example, you want to travel to Switzerland, you will search it on Google, but you want to buy a phone, you want to buy a TV, you will go and search it on Amazon, kind of. And Amazon is already present in 32 countries, right? And once you get your EN code and the ASIN registered in Amazon, right? And then when you light up the inventory, say in Singapore, or you light up the inventory in, say, Middle East, your reviews, your products, your description, everything gets transferred there, right? And then you are ready to sell. That's the case. So Amazon is really propelling that journey well. Second is we have a brand which is Honeywell. And Honeywell has a great affinity in the Middle Eastern market. It has a great affinity in the South Asian market. And piggybacking on Honeywell's brand name, we can take products there, right? For example, in the Middle East market, when we launched air purifiers, right? Now, currently, you had water purifiers. Now, there would be a time in 10 years that every house would have an air purifier, right? So we thought it would not sell well in Middle East because the pollution level there is much level than the Asian country. But then we found that as you go higher and the income for people increases, the air quality becomes more and more important. The richer a person is, the better air quality he requires most of the time. So that's where our air purifiers are flying today. We are number one, number two on Amazon there, right? Then when we went to Southeast Asia, we found Lazada, Shopee. These are the players who do very well. So then we can have a team in India who can then publish content, who can write description, who can do everything from India, run AMS, do performance marketing, and then you make a distributor and launch there. So that's the case. The difficulties in going internationally, every market is different. So the terms of trade for that market, the cultural differences, how do you talk? In Middle Eastern, you speaking slightly in a louder voice is okay because they speak in a different dialect and a tone. And when you go to the Southeast Asia market, you have to be very subtle, very soft in your speaking because that's how the crowd is there, right? Then talking to a manager in Singapore and talking to a manager in Middle East and talking to your manager in India, all three you have to handle differently. So that cultural shift we are learning, and right, the life of an entrepreneur is to learn every day, right? Every day you learn new things, you fail, and every failure is again a PhD into something, right? And then you don't repeat that mistake and you carry on. So that's having their journey currently.
So speaking of life of the entrepreneur and the learnings, uh, I think it's a long journey of entrepreneurship you have had, and at each phase you are learning. But some of the learnings are valid throughout the time. Like when you started, the same learnings were relevant, and now also same learnings are relevant. So tell us some of those top learnings which are like evergreen, timeless learning.
Completely. Right? Aged entrepreneur who is early 50s has a lot of stories to try. He's looked. For example, one thing I learned is overnight success is equal to 20 years. Whenever you hear overnight success, that organization has really worked out. So that's one life learning, that you will have to have perseverance. You will have to have. So there are certain foundations, right? One is the discipline. Without discipline, nothing can move. Without integrity, nothing can move. Similarly, in entrepreneur's life, he has to be self-motivated. He has to have the perseverance, and he has to find different means to follow that purpose, right? So that are some of the learnings which have kept us growing. And these are time-tested principles. Perseverance, discipline, these are some of the things which kept you going. Then the right kind of networking, right? And the right influence of people. So your circle of people really influences your thoughts, right? So that has worked very well. One lifelong principle is, if something is not working, you have a timeline and you drop it. Because most of the time the entrepreneur falls in love with his idea and then is not ready to let go. It's like the monkey in Africa, right? For the banana, he loses his life because he's not ready to leave the banana and remove his hand from the cage where the banana is. So that also I learned. And I think our failures were our biggest teacher, right? Every time, and I think every week we fail into some initiative. But after every 5 failures, you have a success. So I keep saying my team also that the more I fail, the more luckier I become. The more I work hard, the more luckier I become. So that's the mantra we have followed.
Got it. I think every 2-3 years or every 5 years, entrepreneur goes through a very big challenge and has to overcome in order to survive and continue the venture. So tell us, all the 30 years of entrepreneurship, what were some of the very very big challenges that you had to face and you overcame that?
So a couple of challenges. First of all, always money was a constraint initially, because you know how the Indian banking system is, right? If you have money, they give you money.
Hmm.
But if you don't have money, they don't give you money. That's the case, right? So you have to build your credibility. And I didn't come from a business family. So even a small letter from the sales tax department or something coming from income tax, and the whole house would become jittery that whether I'm doing right, whether I'm not doing something which is above the law, all that would happen. That's the first part. Second, we learned over a period of time finance, because we came from an engineering background, and finance as a subject was not there, right? So we learned the very hard way that the financial discipline should be there. And I was lucky enough that Purvi was always there. So she is a bit of a, I can say, somebody who has a long-term perspective and who is very decisive. So we always had, and she used to manage the finance. So we always had a financial controller who could help us in that. Then the 2008 crisis, right? And suddenly everything, the price went down. During COVID also, if you see, the cycles of 1 month stocking became a 3 month stocking period.
Hmm.
So you have to constantly decide, right? That whether you want to stock for 3 months or you want to lose order, whether you want to pivot your business model, because initially it was mom and pop stores, then it became modern retail, then it became online, then it became omni-channel, now it is direct to consumer, right? All these models pivoted, and every time, every 3-4 years, we kept changing the models, right? A couple of times you would not find any value. You would have a good lifestyle, everything, but you would think that, look, I'm not growing, I'm not creating anything which is valuable. So am I on the right path, or should I continue, or should I take a back seat? Because entrepreneur's journey is also lonely also, right? You see a lot of your friends who are in job, they have a good 10 to 6, 10 to 7 job, they have time for their families, and here is you are hustling 365 days on something. So lot of challenges came in, and in the challenges always hope and to change and to accept that there was a failure really helped us very well. I think before we went public, around 2014-15, if somebody would have come with an offer that we'll give you whatever money you invested in the business, and I would have sold my business then. But nobody came with an offer, and I'm happy that I did not sell that point of time.
Well, my final question, tell us what is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur, or what is the process of entrepreneurship? Yeah.
Okay, so for different people, it's a different thing. But if I had to tell you in one word, then it is perseverance. If I had to tell you in one sentence, then it is whatever it takes to be successful, and always on the legitimate side, never a shortcut side. So that is the case. And I think to be an entrepreneur, no, the journey of a person you become while becoming an entrepreneur, no, that's very rewarding. When you play a game which is larger than your life, or slightly larger than the comfort zone you are, it really changes your perspective towards life, your ability to manage chaos. That also changes with the larger games you play. So that really, really is kind of, I would say, the rewards of entrepreneurship. And as I said, perseverance and whatever it takes is what I would say is an entrepreneur.
So I think we are at the end of the session. On this note, we will close the session. Thanks for joining us, Ketan, and my best wishes for Creative Newtech Limited. And I must say it was a pleasure to have you on our platform.
And thank you, Swatantra, for finding time and taking this call at 8:30 in the night. Thank you so much.